And another one. Hey now. So I got a couple I gotta do back to back to back because I ain't gonna have time for this week. So there's one for the church not built by hands. And this is very serious. This is gonna sound, I know this is gonna sound radically different, but I need y'all to understand this. Okay. And here's the question: what's wrong with Trump's followers? You got people that are so deluded, so strange. I mean, they believe literally like Hillary Clinton was running a sex ring and that Democrats are made up of a bunch of cannibals who eat babies. Y'all want to know what's wrong with Trump and his followers? Let's be real. They're possessed by Satan. This is a demonic possession. It doesn't look like The Exorcist with peas spitting out of your head, face, and your head spinning around. That's not in real life what a possession looks like. And here's how I know. I noticed it way back in 2007, 2008 with the googly eyes. And people who know me know I've been saying this for a long time. The frothing at the mouth, the googly eyes. You know, God gave us discernment of the spirit for a reason. We're supposed to be able to see these things. You remember when Jesus came upon that village and the people said, "Oh, there's this man, he's devil possessed." And when Jesus came upon him, he's like, "Oh no, are you here already?" They thought it was the end times. And before they could say anything else, Jesus took the demon out and threw him through. It was made up of many demons, legion, right? There are legions, right? And he threw them into these nearby pigs that were grazing on the lawn, and the pigs rushed off a cliff to their deaths. Obviously, Donald Trump is fully possessed with a demon. His heart is hardened, totally hardened. He can't see. He's sociopathic. He started out sociopathic. What do I mean by that? People keep saying, um, he's crazy, he's stupid, yeah, all those things, but there's something deeper. A sociopath is like like serial killers. He's a serial rapist. He is psychotic. The fact that y'all don't know it or recognize it, I mean, you don't even have to be saved to see that. But you do have to be saved to understand that this is a demonic possession. These people, yeah, a lot of them were normal. Yeah, I have friends that are like, I don't know what happened. This used to be a smart person. This person never used to think like this. When people start acting weird like that, where there's no rhyme or reason, no explanation, there is an explanation. And what's happening here in the physical realm is only a reflection of what is really happening in the invisible spiritual realm behind it. That's what's really happening. When we lose our flesh, the spirit still lives. That is the real thing. Our bodies are like covers, like a ghost wearing a sheet, right? And everything we see and feel and touch, that's just the cover of what's happening. We're in a spiritual battle. We are nearing the end times. We have been nearing the end times for a while. God gave us a list of instructions for this time. And I want y'all to know what he told me to tell y'all. I was surprised he let me say this, where he told this to me a few years ago, but now he wants me to tell you this. He said, you know how we've been waiting? How he said how we've been waiting 2,000 years for him to come back. Those of us who know he's the Messiah. He said, I'm here. I'm here, watching and waiting. He's separating the chaff from the wheat. And that's what you're seeing. Is he here? Is he here? Demons rushing in the pigs, flying them off the cliff. I mean, we really need an exorcism in this country. That's what has to happen. So if you know people in your life that are infected by this demon, by these ill spirits, you need to get in prayer with them. You need to talk to Jesus. This isn't a political thing. This cultish behavior. I mean, look, Jim Jones got parents to feed their children Kool-Aid poison with arsenic and kill them and themselves. That wasn't God. That's not godly. And neither is this. These people committing spiritual suicide. I mean, look at how all these Lindsey Grahams and Mitch McConnells and Meadows and all of these people in power right now have sold their souls, literally. And for what? For money? Well, let me tell y'all something about this. This is a dream God gave me years ago. I told this to my neighbor, and he was like, that could be a movie. If it were, there were only like 5 words in it. But I've been wanting to tell y'all this for a while. He's been putting it on my heart, because if that is your motivation, because I do believe that a lot of y'all who claim to believe in Jesus, you've worked it out somehow, justified it in your mind, and you can go for all these worldly things, that you can serve 2 masters and then maybe do a deathbed confession. Children, it ain't gonna work. God said faith without works is dead, and that you cannot serve him dead. So you might as well get that out of your head now. All these sins that you're committing right now, oh, the ledger, all these things you say and do right now will be used against you in the court of judgment day. Think about that. I have somebody that I love who heard 250,000 people dead in less than 10 months. He's like, listen, you can't be of God and think that or feel that and have zero empathy or compassion. Yes, he's checking our hearts too. God doesn't judge us on the outside, he judges our hearts. And if that doesn't make you say, whoa, 250,000 people dead for no reason, really, most of these deaths should have been avoided, have been purposely caused. You can't just brush it off as just another thing. No. There are people in power that are motivated by greed, selling their souls for greed. And let me tell you what happens, really, when you do that. This dream, boy, it still gets me every time I think about it. And I remember it started, I was sitting on this wall in this space. And I remember it was high up, but not too, like I could have jumped down, but it was high enough, maybe 10 feet off the ground, to where if I jumped down, I knew it was going to hurt. Like it was going to, that reverberation in your ankles and your bones, when you hit the ground too hard. And so I was looking down, and I was about to jump down, and I was afraid to jump down because I didn't want it to hurt. And then all of a sudden, this person comes walking up to me. She looked just like me, except she had on this white robe, and she had this white glow like the moon. Like her eyes were white, her hair was white, like this glow. And it was weird, and so she reached her hand up to me. And I went and I reached down to her, and I was like, thank you. And I stopped myself because I thought what I was about to call her, and why I was about to call her that, but that can't be her name. And she pulled her hand back and looked at me, and she said, what were you about to call me? And I said, intersection. And she went and reached her hand back to me. And when she grabbed my hand, she went, and I was in a pool of water. That's what I came down off that wall and splashed. And when I came up, it was so noisy. We spent a lot of time at the YMCA when I was a kid. And in the indoor pool, like the sounds would bounce off the walls. Y'all know what I'm talking about. People have been in gyms and stuff, and it's like, and it's like that echo just bouncing off the walls. And when I came up, that's what it was, a bunch of a cacophony of noises and water splashing and people all around. And there were so many people around. And I came up and I'm looking and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? And I was so confused. And as I looked around, there were so many people. I mean, as far as the eye could see. And these people that were around me, they were doggy paddling. Everybody was doggy paddling. Everybody. And everybody looked so drawn, like their faces, like they'd been doggy paddling their entire lives. Like they were so exhausted. And so there were people doing this, doggy paddling. And then there were people going, help, 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 help. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? And I noticed like the wall, the edge of the pool went all the way. There was no edge. There were no ladders out. And I looked down and the bottom was black. There was an abyss at the bottom. So there was nowhere to stand, no way to get out. And the walls went all the way up. There was this hole in the middle of the pool, way down that way, where there was a break in the sky. You could see the sky. And I was like, oh my God, where am I? Starting to freak out, and this old guy, I remember seeing this old guy swimming near me, and he was swimming, and then he had this look on his face, and he looked at me and he just went and sunk. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when I started to get panicky. I felt this panic in my chest, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm looking around like, how do I get out? And then all of a sudden, I'll never forget. I've never heard a sound like this. Never in life, not even in a movie. I heard this roar to the east of me. And I turned and looked, and there were these people going, I mean, just zooming, swimming real, real fast from all different directions to the center of this giant pool. This drowning pool is what I call it. And when I looked at what they were getting to, I thought, oh my God. It was like this tower of human bodies that were like halfway to the hole in the ceiling. And you would think they were trying to ladder up to help each other out. No, no, it was gruesome, gruesome. These people were rushing and they were climbing and clawing on top of each other, beating each other up and fighting and clawing. And I mean, it was like this, like, rah, like it was so loud and I mean, they made a tower of bodies and it was brutal. I'm like, what is happening? And I look in at the top, looking at the top, and all of a sudden this thing pops up out of the top. It was a black inner tube, one black inner tube, popped up like a puff of smoke, and it didn't even get below the top. It stayed on top, and it just moved with the pile. The pile just kept moving. That's what they were clawing to get to. All of these people were clawing and climbing and murdering and beating and scratching to get on that one inner tube for 1 second to go, to stop doggy paddling. And as I watched it, I saw this dude who had been climbing and clawing the whole way while I'm watching, and he jumped on top of it. He got on top of it. It lasted a split second because the whole pile went boom, and they tossed him off, and the inner tube never touched him, never stayed up. And the way down, everybody that he had stepped on and punched on and kicked the whole way down were brutalizing him until boom, to the abyss. One inner tube. I said, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And I turned around and I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And there was no way I'm going there. There were still people dashing by me to get. And I started to look where the lady was at the edge of the wall saying, help, help. And then all of a sudden I looked up, and I noticed that everybody was just like looking around at each other, help, help, screaming at each other, help, help. And I looked up, and just above everybody where there should have been an edge to the pool, there were people that looked like intersection, a bunch of them. And with that glow and those robes, and they were going, reach, reach. They were yelling. There were people right under, and they were like, reach, reach. And nobody could see them or hear them. They were just going, help, help, help. And I remember I lifted my finger up and I was about to say, look. And before I could say a word, that golden light went right over top of me, out on top of the water. And it went into that moment that I realized, like, that pale kind of fluorescent white light, was like that, like I had never seen sunlight before. Like the light was warm and it was golden, and like it came out from behind me, and I turned around and looked, and there he was, and his face was shadowed out, and I could see a smile, and he said, "You ready?" And I didn't say a word. Like a little baby, I went thank you, Jesus. Yes. Didn't even really have time to contemplate where I was. Thank you. Yes, I'm ready. Y'all don't want to be fighting over that inner tube. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. There is no rest there. There is no rest. And every crime you're committing, that's what you're doing to humanity, to your lives, to your souls. And the end result is brutalization, spiritually, and down to the abyss. There is a way out. Look up.